talk too, because he's trying to make it automated. So, because apparently Chris used to take like 12 hours a week to like figure out all of our schedules out. So that's why we have 19. Because I'm always saying that, Greg, like, I gotta check one tab to see I'm working with Dave and Matt. Then I gotta check another tab to see who the sponsor is. Then I gotta check another tab to see if I'm producing or if Jordan's producing. And it's just like, why can't there just be like a one sheet that says who's working, who's the sponsor, who's the producer? And he was explaining because everything gets pulled in from other sources. So. Oh, well, you know how it is sometimes. He was like, oh yeah, by the way, Jordan's in Hawaii. Can you work every show this week, Mike? It's like 9:52 on Monday. I'm like, yeah, I guess I'll do that. We got all that hammered out, and I think Greg will be a bit better help with the schedule. I am the minister in a friend's wedding tomorrow. We are rehearsing today, and they wanted to have the rehearsal tonight at 7:30. And I was like, well, I am a man of God, and we are not rehearsing during the fucking Eagles game. So we are rehearsing it's all Philly people too. So it's down to, yeah, this will be my 17th wedding that I've done. Just so like people, I'm rehearsing so people that are in the wedding party like know where to stand, when to go. Okay. Right, I know. No, yeah. So what they did was they killed the dinner, so we're going to rehearse at 1. I'm leaving after the show. We're going to rehearse in the afternoon, and then we're all coming back at like 7. Their rehearsal dinner is going to be like a pre-dinner, and then we're all going to watch the game together. They rented a room out in a bar down in Cape May, so it's weird. Me and Jordan are at back-to-back weddings in Cape May in back-to-back weeks. Yeah, it'll be good too. But yeah, I was like, that's not happening tonight. And then the couple was like, yeah, they just picked it, we'll do it. Right. A lot of times it's like, making sure the little flower girl knows, all right, you're going to come up with Aunt Karen and blah, blah, blah. If I have an Aunt Karen. And it's more just for like the drunk guys. Like, hey, make sure, when you're coming in, walking up, give enough room for the groom. And this stupid shit. I usually just tell jokes, make sure everybody's comfortable. All right, I'm going to put your mics hot. Mics are going hot. Mics are hot.
Wait, hold on.
All right. Mics are not hot.
Good morning, everybody. What's going on? And welcome to the NFL Strategy Show Showdown edition. I got a lot of shows today. Marathon matchup show coming up at 11 with Eric Lindquist. Then we got live before live for Showdown. Thursdays are fun, no question, but we kick it off at 9 a.m. right here on the Stochastic YouTube channel with a little Showdown talk. Minnesota Vikings, primetime Kirk Cousins on the road at the Link going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. 6.5-point dogs, 49-point total. Dave Loughran and Lafayette_D on the X. LOUGHY_D. Give your boy a follow. And while you're there, do yourselves a favor and hit that follow button for Matt Gajewski at Matt_Gajewski. Doing what we do every Monday and Thursday, breaking these games down top to bottom. No stone unturned, baby. What's going on, man?
Great game here. Excited for it. See, the spread's a little wide, but I think there are reasons to think Minnesota could keep this closer and make it hopefully a fun game for DFS, unlike the last couple primetime games we've had. Of course, Monday night, Aaron Rodgers, all that unfortunate stuff, tanked a ton of lineups. Someone actually solo shipped Amelia, I believe, with some weird lineups, and you knew that was going to happen the second Rodgers went out. Just so many dead lineups. And then that Sunday night, 40-0, Dallas over New York. What a letdown game. So I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, we get something competitive here. And regardless, these are my favorite shows to break down because of how deep we get to go. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. The Sunday game was nice because I just been, staying up late every night. And I at that game, I was like, I can go to sleep,
I did that too.
Yeah. You have to, like, at the point where it was like completely over and you're going, all right, I'll check my scores in the morning, but I pulled a Josh Engelman. Monday, though, I thought that game was awesome. Just the emotion and everything that went into it with Rodgers going down obviously would have been more fun with Rodgers, but what an awesome ending. I thought it was a great game. I think the two best games of the week, because let's make no mistake about it. There were some terrible games in week one, like some terrible games. I think the two best games in week one, Monday Night Football, Jets, Bills. A lot of people down on the Bills right now. Maybe an overreaction, but we'll see. And then Miami LA Chargers was a sick game, dude. How do you stop Tyreek Hill?
If McDaniel's going to use him like that, it was like lining him up as kind of like a wing back, like an H-back. And just that was seemingly to get him free releases, which worked masterfully. If you can't put your hands on Tyreek Hill at the line of scrimmage, he's even that much harder to cover. And eventually, people are going to have to dedicate extra resources to him that could open things for Waddle, some of their secondary guys. Miami's going to be fun this year. Tua was delivering the ball masterfully and downfield as well. As long as he's
kept protected
clean.
Him.
Yeah. And, concussions are fluky. We'll see. A lot of people don't understand injuries and how they occur and the likelihood that they happen. They think that he had a concussion one time. He's guaranteed to get another one this year. That's not how it works. Tua, he's in line for an awesome season if he stays healthy. That offensive line did impress. So, yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff. And, those games were good. Like the New York Jets game was awesome. But for DFS purposes, I was just stone dead on the fourth play of the game. I had so much Rodgers. So just like going into that game, I was like, I might as well go to bed. Not even worth watching for me.
Yeah, but if that's the case, it's a wrap. I remember like in August, I tweeted out that I had insane exposure to Dolphin stacks for best ball. And to your point, I can't tell you how many people were like, oh, dude, why would you stack that team? Tua can't stay healthy. Like, you don't know that. You have no idea if he can stay healthy.
In the NFL, you're only healthy because you're young. Eventually, you play in the league long enough to get a severe injury, and people don't seem to understand the violence of this league. If you make it through your career unscathed, like the streak Travis Kelce went on to not miss a game, you're unbelievably fortunate.
Yeah,
everybody gets hurt. Everybody gets hurt.
Well, we talked about Tyreek Hill. Second best receiver in football is on the slate tonight.
AJ Brown.
I knew you were going to do that. Yeah. The fourth best is on Minnesota. You got Justin Jefferson over there behind Brown and Devonta Smith. Now, great game today. I can't wait to talk about this backfield for Philly because who the hell knows what's going to guys, if you haven't been paying close attention to this, or if you have, stick around for, if nothing else, stick around for the backfield conversation for Philly because this is wild. And hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. Always appreciative that you guys come and join us this early in the morning and kind of make this a mainstay of your content. It means a lot, but hit that thumbs up. Help us get north of 50 out of the gate. Atone for your sins on a Thursday morning watching the strategy show. Subscribe to the channel as well. Help us get eventually to 100,000 subs. That would be awesome. Leave a comment down below if you're watching or listening after the fact. I read and respond to all of them, even if they're nasty. And check out our podcast platform. Check out the podcast platform. All of our shows uploaded to podcast right after they're live here, whether it's Apple Podcast, Spotify, or if you listen on some crazy obscure place that I've never heard of, but we still upload there. We got you covered. And we also have podcast exclusive content. You guys have loved the 3 max and single entry strategy show, the afternoon slate breakdown that we do on Friday night or Friday. We keep them under 30 minutes. We get you in and out, and you can only be found on the podcast platform. So subscribe there if you haven't done so yet. If you're looking to take in some other different, unique content that's basically ignored across the rest of the industry. All right, you ready, dude? Let's do it.
Yeah, man, let's do it. Fun game on deck. I'm excited.
Super fun game. So we'll start it off with the Vikings. We'll go team by team, Vikings, then Philly here. For live before lock, we'll go position by position, kind of just move around as we please. But Kirk Cousins, primetime record on the road is, well, it leaves much to be desired. We'll put it that way. That doesn't mean they can't come out here and get a win. Obviously, you know, some of these trends are meant to be broken and flip the opposite direction. Weird things happen. I want to point this out before we get to Cousins, just to get your thoughts on whether or not this influences what you do with this game. But Garrett Bradbury, starting center for Minnesota, is out, and Christian Darrisaw might be out as well. So they could be down 2 starting offensive linemen for this game against that D-line for Philly.
Definitely not good. And those are some good players, 2 of the best linemen they have. They just invested a very high pick in both of them in recent seasons. Right away, I mean, you have unbelievable mismatches in favor of the Philly D line. That unit goes deep. They're getting really good play out of their young guys like Jalen Carter. Awesome first game. I don't know how they're going to keep Kirk Cousins upright. This is it might be the biggest O-line, D-line mismatch of the entire weekend, and we just get it for a primetime slate. They're probably going to have to use CJ Ham as an extra blocker and maybe bring in some 12 personnel. They did that a lot in week 1. But yeah, right away, I don't know how you handle this Philly pass rush. It's going to be an enormous mismatch.
It's a massive mismatch. No question. I'm looking at it though, where it's a mismatch, but it's also one game, and it's football, and sometimes weird stuff happens. So in no reality, Matt, can you look at this and just be like, oh man, the offensive line is banged up. So now we just have to like go heavily underweight everywhere for Minnesota. You can't do that on a slate like this. That's why I'm kind of asking you. Obviously it affects it. It's not good, but does it make you maybe like Philly defense more, maybe get some more sacks, some fumble, strip sacks and more potential for a touchdown, or just more pressure on Kirk Cousins, force him into bad decisions? Is this going to affect your exposure in any way, would be the best way to ask?
I think it's going to affect it to Madison more than the Minnesota pass catchers and quarterback, just because it's still a 6-point spread. If this plays to the spread, which I believe it will, and maybe even a little further in Philly's favor, they're taking some money. Minnesota's going to have to throw, and maybe they just introduce some quick game stuff to get the ball out of Cousins' hands quickly. But Madison not only is affected by game script in this situation, but definitely by this mismatch as well. And he didn't exactly have a great game in week 1. He kind of salvaged his day with a touchdown, but very inefficient. Maybe you see some Ty Chandler on third downs. And he's the player that I'm the most nervous about on this Minnesota side. I know we were talking about the pass catchers and the quarterback situation, but honestly, that D-line, O-line mismatch might affect him more than anyone else.
You would think so, yeah. I mean, Philly run defense last year struggled, particularly early on. But then they went out and remember they signed guys off the couch?
Yeah, a couple old guys.
Yeah, and then actually they signed Sue, and then who was I forget who the other guy was.
Shoot.
Was it Johnson or was it Jackson?
I forget.
Me too. Feel like I can't remember who it was, but besides the point, it definitely feels like it affects
Linval Joseph.
Yes. Yeah. Good call. Good pull. you're still talking about a good passing game, but let's not ignore the fact on the other side, James Bradbury's out. So, we saw the Patriots in week 1. They just attacked the middle of the field against Philly, and there was really nothing they could do about it. They wanted to stay away from the boundaries with Darius Slay and James Bradbury. Bradbury's out with a concussion. Reed Blankenship is out, and Nakobe Dean is on the IR. Philly lost some guys in the defense, particularly in the secondary. Well, all of them in the secondary.
It's going to be interesting. They're going to be very young, I'm anticipating. They have a bunch of highly drafted players, but with no experience. Like, are they forced to play Keely Ringo, a guy coming out of Georgia who's hyper athletic, but did give up a ton of production? So I think they're going to have to lean on this pass rush and then maybe just drop an extra player into coverage. But Mac Jones had a surprisingly good game, to your point.
I thought he looked really good, honestly.
Yeah, he did. And that was even I believe James Bradbury had a pick like immediately in that game. Or was it Darius Slay?
It was Darius Slay off a tipped ball, yeah.
Yeah, he had the pick immediately in the game, but then otherwise their secondary was a little vulnerable. Anytime you're facing Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, that's going to be a problem, especially over the middle. So it could be even an option for like TJ Hawkinson to operate here too. But yeah, the secondary weak because of injury more than anything else.
For sure. So what do we want to do with the backfield then? Is this a spot where you might go underweight on the Vikings backfield?
That's what I'm going to do. If the slate started now, we'll monitor this through the day. If Madison comes in like egregiously low owned, I might change my tune. But right now, if everything stands, I will be lower on Madison.
What about the pass catching options here? Well, I'll throw you one thing and then see where you're at. I can't help but look at TJ Hawkinson and think, man, now it's a little bit different than last week because Bradbury's out, and you're obviously still going to target. You're still going to target Justin Jefferson, even though Slay locked him down in, I think, week 2 of last year as well, maybe week 3, but it was early in the season, primetime game, Monday Night Football, Eagles, Vikings, and Justin Jefferson had one of his worst games of the season. And then he had another bad one against Jair Alexander late in the year, but there have been a couple corners that have done a really good job against Jefferson. We'll see. We'll see how much Slay he sees today, but now they have Jordan Addison. They drafted him early. And they brought TJ Hawkinson in, who they didn't have early last year. They got him, mid-season. He could be a difference maker in this type of game. I wouldn't be shocked to see TJ Hawkinson with a significant workload today. He's not cheap, but he's also not expensive. He's $6,800 in the flex.
I like Hawkinson, not only for the points you mentioned. He does definitely open up the middle of the field for this team. And he's going to be an enormous mismatch against these linebackers. Like, not having Nakobe Dean, he's probably your best coverage backer for this team right now. I don't know who you use to really replace him. And you know that he can operate in the middle of the field where a guy like Nakobe Dean typically plays. Like, I think they're probably going to have to use safeties on him. Not having Blankenship's going to be a problem in that area. But then just from a DFS perspective, and to talk about pricing for a second here, I kind of view this slate as having 5 studs, like 5 guys that I want to play. Devontae Smith, Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Jalen Hurts, and A.J. Brown. I built a lot of lineups this morning, and I'm having a really hard time getting 4 of these guys. If you get 4 of them, you have to punt twice, and you're funneled into guys like Josh Oliver. So I think the main build today is going to be 3 of these studs, and then you're left kind of in that $5K range, where maybe you go like Hawkinson, Boston Scott. So he's a guy I'm really interested to see where his ownership comes in at. Is he going to be more owned than a guy like Addison? I like his role more than Addison right now. So I think right away, because of the way the construction builds, I'm going to end up with a lot of Hawkinson, not just matchup wise, but because you're kind of funneled into these builds. And I think other people might be clicking other names in this area.
I like that. Yeah, it's a good call for sure. And there's really, there are ways to get weird on this slate, I think. I mean, certain games you're going to see more of that than others, but there's also some really expensive players. Just Jefferson, Hurts, and Brown are all up there. If you're looking to go with the Hurts-Brown stack, you're clearly paying a lot of money, especially if you want to put one of those guys at the captain. Same thing goes for Jefferson, 18,600 at captain. Who are your favorite value options as far as the Vikings go? If you had to pull any of them, maybe you don't really like many guys here, but if there were any of them, and you kind of you alluded to it a second ago, but just to come full circle on this Vikings team, is there anybody that you look at and go, hey, I think Like, this is actually a viable, cheap play.
Yeah, so beyond Addison and KJ Osborne, I definitely think you can use those guys. They did not use a fourth receiver at all, 0 snaps in week 1. And instead, they varied their player personnel package. They use a fullback almost more than any team in the NFL, aside from the 49ers.
Oh, CJ Ham.
CJ Ham, pride of Augustana and Sioux Falls. But yeah, he plays a lot. I wouldn't necessarily want to use him for DFS. He's strictly a blocker. He has to essentially like get a random goal line fullback dive to pay off even a $400 price tag. But where I would go instead is maybe looking at some double tight end stuff. This is a team that did use a fair amount of it. You look back to week 1, Josh Oliver played 30 snaps in a game that was hyper competitive. They only lost by 3 points. They even used Johnny Munt played a little bit too. He's basically like a 6th lineman. I would not use him. But I mean, TJ Hawkinson, 48 snaps, Josh Oliver, 30 snaps. It wasn't that different between the two of these guys. Routes was vastly different, and TJ Hawkinson is their preferred pass catcher. But if you're telling me you get 30 snaps out of Josh Oliver, 13 routes, something like that, he's $800. He's probably the preferred punt option here for this team because you literally did not see a third receiver touch the field or a fourth receiver touch the field last week.
I kind of love that. I mean, look, you're not expecting big things out of him, but yeah, on the field for what? Around 50% of the snaps, 47% of snaps. You're right. That is really significant. And I mean, Ty Chandler, what's his price?
He's is
1,200.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you're playing a lot of lineups, you'll probably get to a little bit of him. He had 4 touches last game, but that's nothing significant. Yeah, Jefferson, 98% of snaps, Osborne, 91, Addison, 56. You're right. Nobody else got on the field at the wide receiver position. And you know what? I don't really think there's any reason to believe that changes today either.
No, and I see Nick Austeris, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing that in the chat. I think he's onto something here. Oliver will be needed for blocking tonight. I think Oliver will be needed for blocking. I think CJ Ham will be needed for blocking. I wouldn't be surprised if Minnesota plays a 12 personnel heavy game plan. The issue with that is who do we think that takes off the field? Because I kind of think they're giving Jordan Addison the Justin Jefferson treatment where early on in his career he wasn't used and then slowly ramped up into that full-time role. And I would imagine that comes at the expense of KJ Osborne. But how quickly does that happen? I'm not entirely sure here. So I think there is some volatility with that wide receiver too. Depending on who comes in more owned, I want to say it's going to be Addison just because he's the shiny new toy, the rookie that caught the touchdown. Maybe we look at Osborne for some leverage.
I think Osborne for some leverage is strong. He's not going anywhere. He also was on the field the entire game, right? Like at least you're getting someone that's going to be on the field for the entirety of the game in KJ Osborne. Is it possible maybe that you see that flip as the season goes on? Sure, but we're talking about week 2. Very short rest as well. These guys played on Sunday. They play on Thursday. So I don't anticipate any wholesale changes here. For the Vikings, at least where they're mostly healthy. Anybody else for this team? I think the Oliver call is really great. He could end up doing nothing. Obviously he's a second tight end, but you had mentioned the 12 personnel for that Monday night football game between the Bills and Jets. Like you said, the whole Rodgers thing threw everything out of whack. Did you see how often they played together by any chance?
Yeah, I did. I believe it was like 85% or something really high, like almost the whole game.
They both played 80+% of snaps, Kincaid and Dawson Knox in that game. Yep. Yeah, it was nuts. It was crazy. So, that stands out. I don't anticipate that happening today. That's entirely different, especially when both Knox and Kincaid are capable of catching passes and they want to use them for that. But, anything else for the Vikings? I think we covered it. Unless you have any, true preference on how you're looking to build, whether it's stacks with Cousins, who you're putting at the captain spot. You said you build out a lot of lineups. Who are you getting most at captain for the Vikings? So you're getting mostly Jefferson, but I want to play around with this throughout the day, especially for tournaments. And Andrew Martinez brings up a good point in chat. You guys are on fire this morning. Goddard at captain gets you the studs. It's not just Goddard. If you use Osborne or Addison or one of these guys in the captain spot, that is an avenue to getting 4 of the studs up at the top that we want to play.
And I imagine most of the captain ownership is going to be sucked up in those 5 studs. So if you play like a row, let's say you play like a KJ Osborne captain lineup, not only are you going to be different because you can fit 4 of the studs, but you also have KJ Osborne captain. How many people are going to do that? So I think I'm going to be playing around with the Goddard captains, the Osborne captains, Hawkinson captains, really anyone outside of that top 5 to kind of flip the build and get an extra stud in addition to some of that captain leverage.
Man, last year, Devonta Smith had 0 receptions in week 1. He was virtually unused. And they're like, yeah, we'll see what we can do week 2. Week 2, he went out there and shit on the Washington Commanders. I actually went to that game. It was at FedEx Field. I went to that game and watched Devonta Smith just carve them up. Am I saying that's going to be the case with Dallas Goedert? Obviously not. But Dallas Goedert is not going to get blanked every day. Hurts missed him wide open on a lot of reads too. That was not like he missed him wide open downfield. Yeah, Goddard, that is interesting. We'll get to Philly. Let's do it. Before we do though, we recently partnered, you guys know this, with ownersbox.com. They have Superflex DFS contests. Awesome. Meaning that you can play a quarterback at that Superflex spot. It also means, and it's $175,000 prize pool this week, still $50K up top. If you're not in there yet, or you're not over there yet, the link is in the description and it's in the chat. Mike can throw it in there. It also means you don't have to play defense. It's quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, tight end, 2 flex, and a super flex. Awesome, right? No defense. You love that. You also love the fact that you're getting up to a $500 first match deposit bonus. Lovely. You're not getting that anywhere else. These other sites already got you. You know what I mean? If once you play it and you want to convert that into actual cash on your bonus, just click your avatar in the top right and you'll see it. I was wondering how to do that as well. Figured it out, converted it into actual cash. But here's the thing. I don't want to bury the lead on you guys. You're getting a free week of our entire NFL Sims Max package. Everything. The contest generator. And the highest one, right? Not our Sims data package, the Sims Max package. You're getting the contest generator. You're getting the lineup sim for pre-contest and for post-contest. 2 huge tools that are just, these are the best tools. These 2 are the best tools that we have ever made, hands down, bar none, without question. I know a lot of you guys have tried them and are loving them. Our boy Jorge took 9th in the Millie Maker last week out of 1 million+ people, which is amazing, using the Sims. You're getting ownership, top stacks tool, boom bust tool, player projections, all of our data, all of our Showdown data, the top single game plays tool that Matt and I rely upon every single week, the premium Discord, the lineup generator, everything's included the entirety of the week, totally free. So it's not just Sunday. You're getting the Monday, you're getting the Thursday, you're getting the afternoon slate, you're getting the Sunday night slate, everything for free. You got to sign up at Owner's Box deposit. Minimum of $10 is all it is. But my recommendation is always exploit these bonuses as far as you can. But it's a minimum $10 deposit. You sign up on Owner's Box. You got the entire week free, all of our NFL tools. You need not purchase anything separate in order to make the best lineups possible. Everything is included for the week. Link in the description, link in the chat. Check it out if you haven't done so yet. I think you guys will love both Owner's Box and also all of the free tools. Not to mention, if you're looking to use the Sims, you can use it for Owner's Box. We got Owner's Box data incorporated into everything now, which is huge. So check it out. If you ever have any questions too, you can DM me on Twitter at Lafayette_D. All right, Philly. We'll get to the backfield, but I want to start with Jalen Hurts first. Rough game. First time out, Matt. You know, there was some new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. There were some suspect things there for sure. Kenny Gainwell's out, for those of you guys wondering. And if you're just joining late, James Bradbury, Reed Blankenship, Nakobe Dean all out on defense. With Jalen Hurts, I'm not saying I'm throwing away week 1, right? But I do think that Patriots defense is legitimately good. He didn't play at all in the preseason. I know it's short rest, but I do anticipate seeing a slightly different Jalen Hurts today than I did last Sunday.
I agree. We have a pretty good sample of Jalen Hurts at this point. Everyone has bad games. Joe Burrow had a horrifically bad game. Wouldn't be selling on him either. And you brought up some good points here. They also had a pick 6 right away. So, I mean, you're playing with a lead, not exactly conducive to fantasy success right away. I know New England that ended up coming back in that game, making it hyper competitive. a lot of things happen for Hurts. Like when you're leading like that, you're probably not running him as much. Regardless, easier matchup here, still favored. Jalen Hurts is an elite player. I'll continue to buy low on him. No issues using him at the captain spot, especially if your field size is smaller. Once you get to the Millie Maker stuff, that's where I think you could start getting away from some of that. Play some pass catchers or some weirder guys. But absolutely no reason not to play Hurts tonight. Among the studs, I would say he's my favorite.
Me too. The rushing upside, the weapons that they've got. I know Brian Flores takes over on defense, and you could make an argument that they played pretty well in week 1 despite the loss. But how much weight, how much stock do you put in that, Matt? Because for me, it's like, let me see them actually get tested first against a elite offensive line, against a team that has AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, but also not Baker Mayfield. That's the thing, right? Like Baker Mayfield didn't make any mistakes. He was fine. He managed the game as they asked him to do and let the defense put the team on their back, which is what they did. They got the 2017 win. But this is a wildly different matchup where you're going again. Like if they can come out there today and look better defensively, like significantly better, maybe get some pressure. Secondary doesn't collapse under pressure as we saw every game last week where the offense had to win it for them. Then maybe you and I can have a different discussion in week 3 or down the road. But week 1 with Baker Mayfield under center, I don't know how much I can take away from that quite yet.
100% agree, especially when other people are making takeaways from a Vikings defense playing Baker Mayfield. I mean, go back and look at the players ahead of it. Like, did you get enough information to change your prior opinion to the individual players on Minnesota's defense? And I look at that unit and I'm like, all right, who are your all-pro players? You have Danielle Hunter. He's awesome. You have Byron Murphy. Is there anyone else on the defense you're even remotely scared of? Harrison Smith maybe at one point, but the guy's ancient now. I mean, I'm not scared of anyone else in their defense. You have like an okay edge group outside of Hunter. You have highly drafted Marcus Davenport. He's never been anything elite. Like Jonathan Bullard, Dean Lowry. Not scared of any of these guys from a pass rush standpoint. Byron Murphy's awesome in the secondary, but he's one guy. I do not think they have anything even remotely resembling like competent play outside of him. So, I mean, I think Philadelphia can definitely move the ball in this defense. It does not scare me at all.
No. And Davenport might not even play. So that's another questionable there. Like you said, he's not elite, but you take him off the field and replace, then it gets even worse if he's out. So yeah, I mean, I like, it's hard not to have interest in everybody here from Dallas Goedert. I think Dallas Goedert's obviously a solid play. And of course, last week, you saw nothing out of him, completely blanked. He was targeted only once on the day. This is a weird team. It is always in flux as far as targets go because Zoom didn't crash, Mike. You used a free meeting. You used a free meeting. We only get 45 minutes on free meetings. Can we get back on the same stream? Are we on?
We're on.
Hey, yeah. What was I talking about? Was I?
Someone's
Oh, I'm talking about how like any given week, Matt, you could have like any given week, it's one or two of these Philadelphia pass catchers. So I don't look at this as like this matchup's way better, this matchup's way better. When it comes to this matchup with the Philadelphia Eagles and all that, I'd like to just make sure that I have enough of the key guys, because it could be Smith, it could be Brown, it could be Goddard, it could be two of them, and that's pretty much the way I'm focusing on this passing game. Then you have the Jalen Hurts rushing upside, obviously, which can tamp down on the overall ceiling for some of these receivers. But if this game develops into a shootout, I think there's a lot of different ways we could see it play out.
Yeah, if you're playing small field, cash game, stuff like that, you mentioning the distribution of the ball almost makes me like Hurts a little bit more. If you just play Hurts at captain, you're still capturing at least a portion of whoever is the stud that pops off, whether it be A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, whomever it may be. And then you also get the Hurts leg stuff too. So that's why he's my favorite on the entire slate. I would rank Justin Jefferson second. But I mean, you can always captain the ancillary pass catchers too. They're never players I want to be underweight on. I think the most mispriced one today is Goddard after the 0 last week. Like, we didn't see a discount on A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith, but Goddard comes in really, really cheap here. And he's just a good player. We know at tight ends, it's a volatile position. Occasionally they're going to put up those kind of scores, but there's nothing to indicate there's something wrong with Goddard throughout the rest of the season. I'll gladly play him today, but I don't want to be underweight on any of the Eagles pass catchers.
Me neither. You ready to talk about the backfield?
No, but I'm ready to make some guesses.
Penny's 1,800 or 1,600 or something. Oh my God. Look, I will die on this hill. That's fine. At 1,600, I will have Rashad Penny today. Do what you want, guys. Don't take this as advice. Take it as entertainment, okay? If you want. But I will, if Penny's active, there's no way at 1,600 that I'm not taking some chances, because if he comes out there running behind this offensive line and breaks a couple loose, I don't know how they don't go back to him. Or he's behind Boston Scott on the depth chart, which appeared to be the case last week. That would suck, and it's entirely possible that that happens. I'm not giving up on this guy until it's over. I don't know. Kenny Gainwell's out. Matt, I said it the other day. You may disagree. I think Kenny Gainwell's fine. I also think he's the most uninspiring, uninteresting running back that they have. I would rather Rashad Penny. I would rather DeAndre Swift. Kenneth Gainwell's fine, but there is absolutely nothing exciting about the way he plays. But you may not even see Rashad Penny tonight.
I'm surprised they did what they did for a number of reasons. The one thing I do, I don't agree with this, but I agree with having Boston Scott active because he's a special teamer. He plays a lot of key roles on that side of the ball. So, okay, you've got Boston Scott. You need him for special teams. He can be your reserve third string back. He's capable of that. Having Gainwell active ahead of Rashad Penny and play ahead of DeAndre Swift surprised me. Thought Gainwell would be the most likely to actually be inactive last week, which was just not the case. And then he leads the backfield. I don't know what DeAndre Swift has done, but it's now two coaching staffs that are at least uninspired by him, unwilling to give him work. There's something wrong with DeAndre Swift in the way he plays, and it's probably more from an X's and O's perspective than it is an actual talent evaluation, because I do think he's a very talented player. But I mean, I'm not with the Eagles in practice. I don't know what he does or the mistakes he makes that keep him off the field. So right away, to me, moving this forward to this week, is Rashad Penny behind Boston Scott? I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it's just that special teams value that Boston Scott brings, which had him active over Rashad Penny, which is, I think any rational person would look at it that way, because Boston Scott, like Kenneth Gainwell, is a pretty uninspiring runner. Rashad Penny is not that. This is a dynamic player. He's just been injured. So I'm going to take some shots on Rashad Penny too. I'm going to take some shots on Swift. I think he's also more dynamic than Boston Scott. Again, I don't know what it is here. We're dealing with a ton of uncertainty here, but none of these guys are expensive. Philadelphia is still nearly a touchdown favorite. I do think you want to gamble on this backfield, and with uncertain situations in the past, I don't think enough people are going to.
What do you think about, and by the way, people in chat, maybe you're right, like talking about Rashad, keeping Rashad Penny in bubble wrap and everything. Then why'd they give him like 10 carries in the first week of the preseason? Really, like if that was the case, probably wouldn't want to give him any work. I don't know. Look, I want Rashad Penny out there. I just don't know if it's going to happen. Would you have any interest in playing double Philly running backs? It's like large field, 150 max, massive fields, super top heavy payouts. I think I would. We've seen this team way too many times in the past have like four rushing touchdowns, all from different players.
Yeah, I'm always looking for avenues to contrarian lineups in large field tournaments, and that's an excellent way to do so because of how they've split the backfield in the past. And they've talked about this offseason not wanting a bell cow back, not wanting a pure feature back. They have the options to do this, so I do agree with that. And the other thing is none of them are expensive. Like I wouldn't want to sink money into, like, for example, last week when we had Jerick McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco, they're both like above 6K. You're rostering it, you're taking up a ton of your salary in that instance, but you've got like Boston Scott and Rashad Penny pretty cheap here. DeAndre Swift at 4K is not expensive. You're saving a ton of money by doing so. And if you take two Eagles backs, you can actually probably jam 4 studs into your lineup.
Yeah. How about this? Week 1 of last year was against the Detroit Lions, right? Miles Sanders, 13 for 96 and a touchdown. Jalen Hurts, 17 for 90 and a rushing touchdown. Kenneth Gainwell, 5 for 20 and a rushing touchdown. Boston Scott, 4 for 10 and a rushing touchdown.
Man, what a sick game.
Yeah, all 4 of them. Now, granted, that doesn't mean it clearly doesn't mean it's going to happen. But would it shock you if Penny scored and Swift scored, or Penny and Scott scored? It would not surprise me in the slightest bit at all. And we've seen this team at times, especially if they go up early, they look to run the football. Vikings run defense is better than their pass defense, unquestionably. But yeah, that might be one way to do it. I don't think you need to do that in like smaller single entry fields though, Matt. I'm talking about the big stuff where you have to be wildly different if you're not trying to chop with 30 people.
For sure. We have a Millie Maker tonight, so we have tournaments as big as they can possibly get.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, let me just check here. It is, yeah. You know what percentage the first place payout is?
Well, I know it's a 2.5 Millie Maker, which means it has to at least be like 40%.
Yeah, it's 40% first.
Hey man, I can't wait to win it.
Yeah, dude, I hope you do. But that's why I love some of the single entry stuff. Like flatter payouts, you're not getting paid out $1 million, but it's at least like 15% in some of those, and not 40.
Yeah,
which
I 100% agree with you. Anytime there's a Millie Maker, I throw at least one in there. But generally speaking, when it's a 2.5 total prize pool, my attention's focused elsewhere. You can guarantee there's at least one in there because I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I put up like a monster score. But yeah, I'll focus my attention on the stuff you're playing too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll throw a couple in, but it's just, you end up chopping a lot of times too. So, I mean, that could go better or worse. I don't know. But the backfield, what's up?
If I win it, I'm not chopping a lot.
Why? Just wild lineups?
Yeah, usually.
You have to. But you don't have to do that in single entry and 3 max stuff. You don't have to go nuts at all. Also, they have the 20 max for the $3 as well, which isn't bad. I'll throw 20 in that. Why not? But that payout's also insane. It's not like 47 million entries. Hey, if you had to, this is the question that's tough to answer for sure. But if you had to, with Gainwell out, rank these running backs today based on projected ownership, where we think they're going to be at, based on salary, just overall roster build, everything, right? Not in a vacuum, but everything. How would you do it? Penny's 1,600 in the flex. Scott is 2,200. Swift is 4,000. They're all cheap.
I would go Swift number 1. He just played the most behind Gainwell last week. So I think he's immediately ahead of Rashad Penny. And then he's not a special teamer like Boston Scott. So I think you just have to assume he's in line for running back 1 work. Now, is that 50% of the work, 75%? Is it a 30-30-30 split, like 1/3 apiece? I don't know. But I think he's most likely to get the most work. Behind him, I would rather play Rashad Penny over Boston Scott just because of the special teams nature, I guess, to Boston Scott's game. I think that's largely why he was active last week over Penny. And Penny's a guy that's bigger back. I mean, he can handle a lot of that early down work. Boston Scott would be 3rd for me. How do you rank it?
The exact same way you do. But I'm not confident.
I'm not confident either.
Yeah. Okay. Here's, by the way, if you guys are unfamiliar with this and you hadn't been on Twitter or anything like that, sorry, on the X anytime soon, Nick Sirianni said that, basically sometimes he's going to be the guy getting like the majority of work, and sometimes he's going to be in the role that he was in on Sunday in week 1. So let me put it to you this way, Matt, I rank them the same way you do, but at the end of the day, when all is said and done and this game is over, if you were to tell me, hey, Swift was the top guy, I'd go, okay. If you were to tell me, hey, Gainwell got the most, or Penny got the most work, I'd have gone, okay. If you were to tell me Boston Scott got the most work on the ground, I'd go, I get it. Like there's no real differentiating factors after 1 week. After what we saw in the preseason, it made things even more confusing. And then the cherry on top is that Penny wasn't active in week 1. There's no way that I can look through any of this confidently go, yeah, this is how it should go. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. I feel the exact same way. And the Eagles are a great team. They were actually kind of like afforded the luxury of maybe not playing their best players 100% of the snaps in efforts to keep them healthy or whatever it may be. But you've got a great offensive line. You can spell your backs. You've got 3 quality ones here. Whatever they decide to do, I mean, like, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Sean said Penny will definitely be active. Yeah, look, if Penny's not active for this game, then kiss it goodbye, Smalls, because I don't understand how they activate him again after something like this. So he's got to be. Anyway, anything else you want to touch on here? Any cheap? I think the best cheap plays for Philly are clearly in the backfield, running behind an elite offensive line. I don't really see anything to differentiate there, unless you want to talk about like backup tight ends or like a Quez Watkins type, but that's up to you. That's your wheelhouse when it comes to these showdown slates.
Quez Watkins ran as the clear wide receiver 3. I personally was wrong on this. I thought it was going to be more of a rotation between Quez and Olamide Zaccheaus. It was not. Olamide only got 7 snaps. Quez played 57. Now, this is a very narrow target distribution with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith at the top, Dallas Goedert occupying a role slightly behind them. The wide receiver 3 almost gets no work here, but if you're throwing a dart, Quez Watkins has a profile that could like break a showdown slate at times. He is the burner, the lid lifter in this offense. He runs a lot of clear out routes, stuff like that. Very fast player, but he's just not targeted often. So you have to know that going in. You very well could end up with a stone 0, or you could catch an 80-yard bomb. That's kind of just how his game goes. But he'll be a guy I'm sprinkling in, not trying to be overweight, anything like that. He's a guy I just want some exposure to, so I don't get buried by like an 80-yard touchdown if it were to occur.
No, but you're right. He's still squarely in play. He is. He has to be, right? You don't have to love it. But like against Minnesota last year, in week 2, Quez Watkins, 2 targets, 2 receptions, 69 yards and a touchdown, Matt. Showdown slate. Washington, week 10, showdown slate, primetime football, 4 for 80. He did it twice on showdown slates last year, where at his cheap price point, he ended up going for pretty significant games. He could do nothing today, but you can't just overlook that at that price at all. You want to get into some kickers and defenses here?
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, they've been the stars of showdown contests in NFL so far.
Yes, they have. We'll do it. By the way, guys, for those of you wondering, a couple ways to get some good discounts on our tools and some free money and stuff like that. Always want to throw this out there for you because We got 600 people watching with us. Some people join late. We're not going to be doing this all season long. It's 15% off all of our Sims pack, all of our NFL packages, right? We won't be discounting these all year, but it's 15% off now as the season's underway. 15% off the NFL Sims Max package. That's a phenomenal offer. It's every tool for NFL, as I mentioned earlier. You don't have to be like, oh, wait, does it not come with this? Oh, wait, do I need this in order to build lineups? No, the contest generator, the Sims, all of the tools that you need for NFL are included in this 15% straight off the top. If you're looking to get in, you can do the week, or since it's 15% off the week or the month, you're getting a much bigger, dollar for dollar discount on the full month. So check that out. Link in the description and in chat. And also, Matt, I say it every time. These sports books, particularly the ones looking to find their footing in the online space, they're going to give you free money. They're going to give you free money. Caesars up until, I think, the 18th. So you have 4 days left to take advantage of this. If you're looking to bet, or you just want some free money, start a bankroll up the easy way. You bet 50, you get $250 in bonus bets. It is that simple. The best way to get money around these ways. Betting is hard, okay? People can tell you, oh, man, we're on a massive run. We can't lose. And then it's like, oh, well, you're betting minus 400 favorites every game. Betting is hard. Matt knows this. You guys know this. I know this. The easiest way to win is to get free money out of the gate. Caesars, you bet 50, you get 250 in return, in bonus bets, in $50 bets, okay? If you win your bet, you still get the 250. If you lose, no big deal. You still get the 250. Got to be 21 years or older to gamble. If you have a gambling problem, or someone does, be a good person. Call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. But great place to get free money, great place to bet, to get an account. Make sure you have multiple accounts. You shop odds. It's not just about the free money. It's making sure you're not that guy, that dunce, who's only on one sports book that's like, oh, I really like this game. And then it turns out you bet it, you lose by the hook, and you could have got it somewhere else without that hook attached to it. I could go on for this for hours about why you want multiple sportsbooks accounts, Matt, but the easiest way to do it is just get the free money out of the gate.
Absolutely no-brainer offer. Take advantage of this. Even if you're a recreational bettor, how would you like 5 $50 free bets? I mean, it's a no-brainer offer. Take advantage of this.
Right. Anywhere else in the world, someone's like, hey, if I give you 50, or if you give me 50, I'll give you 250. You go, okay. Find it odd at first, but then you realize it's legit and you say, I'll do it. Anyway, link to that's in the description and in chat. Turn your ad blocker off for that. Something about the Caesars link. When I clicked it, after I turned my ad blocker off, it took me right there. And it takes a minute to sign up. You're in the door. You verify yourself. Put that $50 bet down. I'm laying 5.5 on the Giants this week. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Giants against the Cardinals, Matt.
Man, I couldn't tell you the last time I bet an NFL game, but if you want to get into the college streets, I could talk to you about that all day long.
Oh, give us your favorite. If you were to put this $50 down on a bet, because you're getting the money back anyway, times 5, what would your favorite bet be? Because if you win, it's even better.
Yeah, I would take the over in the Colorado State game. It's going to be, both those teams play at the speed of light, and there's not going to be a lick of defense. And if you don't know anything about Colorado State, they run an air raid. Those of you watching this channel probably at least seen something about Deion and Colorado themselves. It's also a rivalry game. Expect no defense, a million plays in that game. 59.5 is an incredibly generous number. Seeing it tick up in some spots too, so hit that quickly if you're going to.
What a fun team they've been, man.
So fun.
What a fun team. I got one more for you. Well, I'll always go under in Broncos games until they can prove me wrong. Worked pretty well for us last week. It's true, man. It's true. It really is. I like Falcons money line at plus 106 though. I like Falcons money line against the Packers. I think this team's going to surprise some people. Not saying they're going to be great, but that run game could be pretty good and that defense could be better. So a lot of spots, but there you go. If you're looking to get in on it, looking for a bet, because if you win, it's just so much better. Then you got another windfall coming your way in free bets. All right, defenses and kickers. How about, dude, if Jake Elliott was on the showdown slate on that Patriots game, he would have won everything.
Oh, yeah. Jake Elliott's awesome.
He's one of the best.
Good. He doesn't get enough credit. Like everything goes to Justin Tucker. And Justin Tucker is awesome, but let's give some of these other kickers that are very, very good their shine too. Jake Elliott's been awesome year over year now. Like, this is not a fluke. He's a sick kicker on the team with the higher implied team total. You can roster kickers really at any time, I think, just being careful of your ownership. And on this slate, I like them because you have so many studs at the top, and they're probably going to offer you a lot of leverage off, like the Rashad Pennies, DeAndre Swifts, Boston Scotts of the world. So I'm going to be playing quite a bit of Jake Elliott. Don't hate Greg Joseph either on the other side. For defenses, I'd be focusing my attention on the Eagles. They are, in my opinion, not expensive enough. I was surprised to see them at 44. Thought they'd be a little closer to 5K with this D-line matchup advantage they're going to have over the Vikings' hurt offensive line.
For sure. They're missing a couple guys, but that D-line could make a big difference. Dude, Jake Elliott's the type of kicker. He'll miss more extra points than 50-yard field goals throughout a season. It's so weird.
He's insane, man. He's been good.
Yeah, he's better from long range than he is from short. I trust him more when he's lining up for 55 yards than I do from 30. But, all right, you ready to build a lineup before we get out of here?
Yeah, let's do it. I think you got to start this week, though. I've been I'll
start. And we got 600 people in here. Appreciate all you guys that support this channel. I really do. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe. It helps us a ton with YouTube. You know how pesky that algorithm is. So a subtle reminder, takes a single second. Show some love around here if you appreciate free content. And maybe you even think it helps you along the way. All right. Captain Rashad Penny. No, I won't. But man, that would open everything up if you went Rashad Penny at captain. I may have a few Penny captain lineups. I'm not even kidding. But I'm going to go Dallas Goedert captain today.
That's who I was going to pick too. So I'm excited to hear it. And
do we want to talk? Are we going to do single entry or large field? We got to make sure we mention that.
Let's do the single entry, like mid-size field, like 25K. You can find some of those in like the $12 to $15 range. They vary the price point week in, week out, but it'll be something in there.
All right, perfect.
All right, I'm going to throw Hurts in. He's my favorite one of the studs here because that rushing equity. And, if A.J. Brown still is a big game here, Devontae Smith, you still access that through Hurts too. And Goddard's at a different price point, so they're not exactly one-for-one comparisons. So love Hurts. He completes our stack as well.
So I think with some of these cheap plays that we have access to, I'm going to throw Jefferson in there. It gives us 5,800 per player remaining for the final three. I don't think it's going to be that tough because we've got Goddard at captain.
I don't think so either. There's a ton of different ways we can go with this. I think I'm going to throw Hawkinson in there. If we do that, it still gives us about 5,300 per player left. We're not quite in the dumps, which we can go to if we want to get another stud, or we can play this through the mid-range.
Well, we could go Cousins and Oliver. That's one way to do it. If you wanted to get weird, you could go Cousins and Oliver and fade the Philly backfield, which for what it's worth, I don't think that's insane either. But Cousins and Oliver would leave you with 700 per player remaining. You could also go, oh, that's interesting. You could go like Devonta Smith and Rashad Penny.
I knew you were going to do that. That's what I had clicked into the lineup too. For a single entry, I don't hate it. We've Goddard captain, man. He's not going to, there's 5 guys I would project for more ownership at captain than Goddard, at least.
I don't hate it either. The only thing is you don't have Cousins with Jefferson and Hawkinson, but I don't think you need that.
Agreed. Now, there's 5 studs. You simply cannot play them all.
No, you can't. And the problem is, if you want to go more balanced, you're like, all right, I'm going to go with Jordan Addison. You could, then you could get Jake Elliott or DeAndre Swift, Joseph. So there's a, but then you do that, you have 3 pass catchers from Minnesota without Kirk Cousins, and that's a little bit weird with 3 and no Cousins.
Yeah, out of all of the potential builds you just named, the one we landed on where we close with Devonta Smith and Rashad Penny is my favorite.
I like it. I dig it. Yeah. And you've already, like you said, you got Hurts, you got Goddard captain. If you project this to be a high scoring game, throw Penny in there. He could do something as well. I dig it. Goddard, Hurts, Jefferson, Hawkinson, Smith, Penny.
It's a beauty. I'm going to run this in at least one of the smaller single entries.
Yeah. I may just do the same thing. All right. Hey, follow Matt at Matt_Gajewski on Twitter. Do that. And me as well. Oh, sorry. On the X. I'll get this eventually. Me, Lafi_D, LOUGHY_D. And also, if you're playing any MLB today, Josh Engelman coming up next for the MLB Strategy Show. Stick around for that right here on the Stochastic YouTube channel. We'll see you guys back here. I got the Marathon Matchup Show with Eric Lindquist at 11 Eastern. We got Live Before Lock for football at 7:15 Eastern. You got anything else today? You got college stuff coming up at any point?
Oh, baby, we got a couple college games tonight. If you're interested in some Miami taking on FCS Bethune-Cookman, video out for it already, and we'll have videos for bets all weekend long. Games tomorrow, 3 games. Good games, too. Check those out. Couple Armed Force Academies. But yeah, college football almost every day at this point, and we'll be covering it all.
Let's go, baby. And links to everything. Owner's Box sign up. Get you a free week of Stochastic NFL Sims Max package, our best package, everything included. Or you want the month, get 15% off with that link. Caesars 50 in the 250. Everything, baby. Down there in the description. We'll see you back here for the next one. Thanks as always, guys. Peace.